To start today, I'm going to share my screen. All right, so what you are looking at is actually taken from both our Launchpad series for job seekers and also our Launchpad lead. We use both of these. And so what you're looking at is this idea of core needs. So core needs are this underlying driver for all of us. It's really our core human needs, and they're very similar. And so I want to just take a moment when we think about how we respond, react to the world. It is driven by needing to meet core needs. So it's worth really getting to know these little lovelies as they are involved in our lives so heavily. So I want to just quickly identify them. So first is safety. So when we think about a core need of safety, we're thinking about, those bottom layers of Maslow's hierarchy, that physical and emotional security, stability, and predictability. Our ability to know we have a safe place to sleep, we have food to eat, we have relationships that are safe to be in, and that is really a core need for all humans, right? And really mammals in general. Then we move into satisfaction. Satisfaction is nourishment. So we are getting the things that we need to grow and to thrive as humans. Fulfillment, growth, achievement, and joy. That ability to move beyond just meeting my basic needs of survival, right? And we're drawn to that. We are, we can look around our offices probably and see motivational quotes and things that we do to fill our cup and art that fills our soul and so forth. And then finally, we move to connection. And, we often hear that phrase, we are hardwired for connection, meaning it is a core need. Our brain needs this in order to move on to the next phase of our needs and life and relationships and so forth. So connection meaning belonging, love, and meaningful relationships. We are hardwired for this. It's a core need, our ability to be with others, to connect with others, to have a sense of belonging. And if we don't have that, we go searching for it in ways that might feed that need, but it actually harms us. So when we think about gang affiliation, for example, that is a skewed sense of belonging, right? And we can see this in many ways throughout our world, where there are healthy ways of belonging, and there are skewed and potentially unhealthy and unsafe ways of belonging. And it all comes down to this greater core need for that. So I'm going to leave this up on the screen while I bring these next questions to you. And I'm just going to kind of introduce it, and then I'm going to use our meditation today to deepen our exploration of this, our mindful exploration of how we meet these needs. So I want you to think about I'm going to have you make this personal, your own coping strategy for stress, for challenge. So there's plenty of examples. The world is giving us a lot of things to have a lot of feelings about right now, right? So I want you just to bring something to mind. Remember, this will be over in a few moments, and then you're going to return to work. So, or life, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. So choose something that might be workable for you without bringing you into a deeper place when this closes. So do take care of yourself and choose wisely. And know that this practice can be used for deeper purposes later as you're ready for that. So I want you to bring that to mind, something stressful, something challenging, and think about coping strategies, how you cope with these, your automatic ways of coping with this. There's no judgment. You're not going to share. They might be ways that help you, that connect you, that help you feel safe, that bring joy or fulfillment, bring your attention to those things, that connect you to people to help build your sense of belonging. Or they might be things that have a false sense of feeding our core needs, but are actually a skewed sense of that, right? So we might engage in larger risk taking. We might engage in behaviors that take us in the moment, make us feel good, but in the long term actually have harmful effects on our sense of satisfaction. We might stonewall in the sense of I don't belong. And so I'm going to build this strong barrier between you and I to create a false sense of safety, right? But it's actually taking away from this core need of belonging or connection. We're complex as human beings. So just thinking about what is your coping strategy? And it's probably all of the above, right? Some level of all of the above, but we're going to explore that in our meditation this morning. So let's go ahead and do that. When you're ready, you can close your eyes or take a soft gaze. Just allow yourself to land in this place this morning as we do this exploration, reminding ourselves that we are safe. We are in choice. We can engage in mindfulness practice in the moment as we hear it, or we can tuck it away as instructions to use later. Often, when we think about our coping strategies that help us in healthy ways feed our core needs, these are usually mindful, intentional, thoughtful practices that we have developed and that we have learned. And often our coping strategies that are skewed, that might be automatic, that might be reactionary, usually connected to some deep brain evolutionary response to survival. They're usually automatic, not mindful. They might have come as coping strategies from early in life, where we didn't have full access to our prefrontal cortex. And so first, just notice all of that, just lovingly. I know for myself, as I do this exploration, I very much see I grew up in a family where you were either in or you were out. And so I have some automatic tendencies to, I can stonewall, I can remove, I can hold a grudge like nobody's business. It's my automatic response. So as we're exploring this and observing this, notice how that is related to the core needs. So as we are responding to these current day stresses, how are our responses to those survival skills, the survival mechanisms connected to core needs, unmet core needs? So if I rise above my reaction, I think, oh, this is I don't feel like I belong. I don't feel connected to this team or this group. I don't know what's happening with my job. Clearly, there's core needs at the base of that. So when we can name those unmet core needs and get out of reaction, we can then get exploratory in our thoughts. What would meet this core need for me? How would you meet the core need that is being challenged or unmet? And maybe it has something to do with your circumstance, and maybe it goes beyond. For example, if I'm not invited to a team event, or I'm excluded from a core conversation that I thought I needed to be included in, I can identify that as an unmet core need or a couple unmet core needs. And I can begin to think about, I am surrounded with great colleagues, with safety within my job. There are many places where I know that I am connected. I'll remind myself of that. I might go connect with a colleague who I feel a great sense of belonging. How can I meet this unmet core need? And as we meet that, as we observe it and give ourselves the power to do this work our own internally, rather than waiting for these needs to be met externally, where we have very little control, if any at all, we build a more mindful, resilient brain. And so my behavior to that original stressor, my response, comes from a place of wholeness, of intention. My core needs are met. I don't have to wait for the world to do that. I do it. Let all of that exploration just kind of fill you right now as we begin to close this practice. I realize I've kept you a couple minutes late. Leave curious. As we open up our eyes and come back together, allow that to just filter you today. Before we just jump to reaction, ask, what core need is not being met? Be well, take care. I'll see you next week.